We're coming to you live from our studio at Desawe Kanda here in Accra, also live on our numerous affiliates across the country, around the world. We're streaming live on 3news.com. Download the TuneIn app from the Google Play, Apple iOS Store, and listen to us on the go. Coming up this afternoon, more cash found in the homes of former Sanitation and Water Resources Minister Cecilia Abenadapa following intensive search by the OSP yesterday. The embattled minister has been granted bail with one surety while investigations are expected to continue. We have details for you. Also, a 7-member committee tasked to probe leaked IGP audio given up to the commencement of next sitting after Parliament goes on break to present its report. We get details as to the membership of the committee, and much later, still in Parliament, the NDC MPs have been expressing worry over the confusion of dates to have Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta presents the mid-year budget statement following yet another rescheduling to July 1. We have details of these stories and a lot more if you stay with us for the next 30 minutes. A pleasure that you could be a part of this afternoon's bulletin. It's streaming live on Facebook. Our handles 3FM927. Same handles on Twitter, 3FM927. I am Eric Mawuena Egbeta. Let's settle for the details. I'm beginning with the very controversial subject matter which has been the topic of debate all throughout the weekend and of yesterday. It has to do with ongoing investigations by the special prosecutor into the former Minister for Water Resources and Sanitation, Cecilia Abenadapa, because a lot more money was found in the home of the former Sanitation and Water Resources Minister in a near 5-hour search of a private residence. The embattled minister has been at the heart of the news following court details which revealed up to $1 million and other foreign currencies, including cedis, went missing from her home between July and October of last year. Following outrage and numerous petitions, the Office of the Special Prosecutor has begun a probe into the matter. Now, here's a news desk report on what we know here at 3FM since her arrest yesterday. The offices of the Special Prosecutor, the building you're seeing right behind us, that's the agency currently investigating the former Sanitation and Water Resources Minister Cecilia Abenadapa. What we know based upon ongoing investigation is that yesterday her cantonment official residence were thoroughly searched by officials from the Office of the Special Prosecutor, and then her Abelemkpe residence as well were searched. What we know as well is that relatives of the former minister were questioned in relation to the stash of cash which has been stolen and has become the subject of media controversy, social media debate, and the anger of many Ghanaians. But interestingly, what we've gathered from our sources is that from the search at her residence yesterday, a lot more cash has been discovered, and it took the officials of the Special Prosecutor close to 5 hours alone in counting this amount of cash which was discovered, a lot more money discovered in her home. Indications as well, what we've got is that she's been given a lifestyle assessment form which she is to fill and complete as investigations continue. She was granted bail in the late hours of Monday at about 10:30 p.m. with one surety. The stated figure still not quite known, as officials from the Office of the Special Prosecutor continue to remain tight-lipped on it. But what we know and what we can confirm is that investigation is ongoing into this matter, which has become a huge debate for a lot of individuals. There's expectation for a quick-paced investigation, but what we know from officials of the Special Prosecutor is that this will take time if anything is to go by, because More money has been found in her residence. Family relatives are being questioned. She's expected to fill a lifestyle assessment form which is seeking to ascertain the source of funding of all of these monies, a lot more which has been discovered in her home, and that the investigation will be thorough and that Ghanaians should exercise patience with the investigative authority, which is the Office of the Special Prosecutor. So a news desk reports there detailing exactly what it is that we know. Let's get on the phone lines. Adam Senano is a co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption. Let's get details from him as to what more we know from this. Mr. Senano, many thanks for speaking to us. So from ongoing investigations and details that we're beginning to pick up as well, it appears that a lot more money, we're learning, was found as investigations continue. This lends or feeds into the perception of Ghanaians that the money could be way more than what was reported.
Oh, yes. If your report is from the OSP and they are indicating that they were counting for 5 hours, then clearly, as we all were quick to point out, you had to have much more money there for anybody to expect to steal $1 million and get away with it. That's the logic. Nobody goes stealing. If you have a pouch of money, nobody will go and take all the, if it's 1,000 Ghana, take all the 1,000. Usually the petty thefts who are in their home will pick some, hoping that you will not notice. So I'm not too surprised that they have found much more money. That was part of the logic, that they must have taken part of a huge sum. But to count for 5 hours, I can only wonder how much exactly we are talking about here. I think that this highlights for us the importance of passing the Public Officers Code of Conduct Bill. All of us, media, civil society, need to demand that this that has been sitting before Cabinet should be passed urgently, because within it there are stronger, clauses demanding and requiring public officers to ensure that they don't get themselves engaged in things like this, and it's more obvious. The lifestyle audit is an important thing, but I think the preventive actions that are sought by the Public Officers Code of Conduct, we need to demand that that is put in place now. In addition, I have a suspicion that this probably is much more to do with party financing than just the individual. In my mind, I think, look, we better resolve the political party financing thing also in terms of legislation, because it is likely, and they themselves have said it, that usually for emergencies, exigencies, they have people who have money that is supposed to be deployed at an instant. And the kind of monies we are talking about, I would strongly suspect that maybe we are going beyond the individual to a bigger issue. And so we should talk about the Public Officers Code of Conduct Bill. We should also talk about political party financing, because ultimately that is where the problem begins. As they campaign and they spend money through it here and there, by the time they come, they find ways to make that money back, and you will have situations like this.
Right. There's the debate or the other leg of how much this has to do with asset declaration, because from checks, appears the former minister, I should say, declared her assets thoroughly in the past. Now that is appearing to be defective in being able to check some of these things. And if there's anything to go by, I know that the Tema West MP, for instance, in subsequent commentary in relation to this, has sought to allude that this is a practice that is very well adopted by all of our top politicians.
Yes, it is the reason why, and perhaps I didn't break it down. Two things. One, there's the unexplained wealth clause, where in the Public Officers Code of Conduct, you would have a clause saying that at any time that there is unexplained wealth, one would be subject to questioning, etc., because the idea is that not just the assets, because that can cover a certain number of things, but also is the currency, money that one cannot say or attribute to your regular income. And you cannot give, if you can't provide a legitimate business you are doing, which is not taking office hours, and yet you can earn this money. The current asset declaration only covers some aspects. It doesn't go to the extent of unexplained wealth, which is what Occupy Ghana is also trying to point out. It is the reason why passing this law, that is an enhanced version, is so important. Now, our asset declaration is already deficient to the extent that you are not required to make what it is you're putting on paper public. So it is only the staff of the Auditor General who have opportunity to open and look at it. That is limited in scope, because if you have 32 million or 35 million Ghanaians who can go online and check and say that, no, you came to my area and you bought a land, or I know you have a house in my corner, or I'm the person you negotiated to buy this car, they can all go and check and see whether the cars you bought, the lands you bought, the property you have, the money in the bank, but we don't have that. So again, we have a deficiency that must be addressed urgently. And so these are issues of concern.
Right. We know the investigations is going through the paces. The Office of the Special Prosecutor has begun the work. The indication we get is that they're expecting this to be as thorough as possible. How do they balance, just quickly, the expectation from Ghanaians to have this done and done quickly because of the anger this has generated?
Well, I think that what you are doing in itself is part of the assurance process, where as they take steps, they give you snippets of what is going on. So we've gone to a house or two houses, official house and a personal house. We've done a search. We searched 10 rooms. We found more money. We are counting. It doesn't have to get into the detail, but enough information so that people know that they are at work. Investigations is continuing. They have invited 3 people, 10 people. There are 10 more people they want to speak to. And somewhere along the line, we expect we can finish within 2 months, etc. I think that they should just find ways of ensuring that there is information in the public space, that they are working on it and they haven't gone to sleep.
Mr. Senator, I appreciate that you could speak to us.
And thank you for having me.
That's Adam Senator, who is the co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption, speaking to us on this matter. It's a subject matter that will bring you a lot more on as it continues to roll on. But we're taking you to Parliament now because the 7-member committee, which was to be constituted by Parliament to investigate the leaked audio, which, amongst many things, individuals were heard plotting and scheming to oust the Inspector General of Police. That committee has been formed now with a timeline for them to complete investigations and report back to the House. Komla Kluche is our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent. He's joining us on the telephone line because he's been providing details since that issue also broke. Komla, many thanks for joining us. Walk us through the 7-member committee. The majority was expected to present 3, the minority 3, and then a technical person.
Well, the minority presented their list to the Speaker's office as of Thursday last week. The Speaker, in opening the sitting for today, reminded them that that committee needs to be set up for them to commence their work, but was quick to add that it was only the minority that presented their name. And so the Speaker actually had to draw the attention of the majority. But just a while ago, the majority presented the names, those that they have noted, and these are the names. Samuel Atachia is a member of the committee, and he's actually going to be the chair. Patrick Yabuama, and then Ophelia Mensah. Atachia is a lawyer. Yabuama is also a lawyer. Ophelia Mensah is a retired police officer. Now, on the minority side, we have James Agalga, who is a former Deputy Minister of Defense, Deputy Minister of Interior, Eric Opoku, a former Greek Minister, and Peter Lanchel Tobo, who is also a retired police officer. The technical person is Dr. Isaac Latte Annan. Not much has been said about him, but we were only told that he's a technical person, ostensibly probably a forensic expert who will be leading this to a very large extent.
And the timelines, what timelines are they working with? When are they to report back to Parliament with the full report?
Well, that became some contentious matter, but it's been agreed that they would submit their report within the first week of resumption of from their break. They are going on break on the 3rd of August, and so when they return, hopefully somewhere the ending of September or the early of October thereabout, then they'll be able to present their report. Prior to that, the contention was for them to do it in a week, but it doesn't appear that a week would be that much thorough, and so they've been given that long rope to be able to do it and then come by the first week of reporting from the break.
Another subject matter which has been of interest in Parliament has to do with the mid-year budget review. There was confusion as to whether or not it was going to be a statement and even the date. Advertised by the business statement last week for the 27th, woke up to a publication from the Information Ministry and others suggesting that it was to be taken today. Now there's been a change of date as well.
Well, that's what we're hearing, and it's been official now, said by the Speaker, that it will be on Monday. The House will not sit tomorrow because there's some Christian program that will be involving members of Parliament, the head of state, former presidents, and some other key individuals in the country. And so the House will not sit tomorrow, but they will sit on Thursday. And so the Finance Minister will meet Parliament on Thursday, and this is an intensive meeting, in the words of the Speaker, an intensive meeting prior to the presentation of the mid-year on Monday.
Right then, Komla Kuche is a Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, providing details there for us on the 7-member committee and also the mid-year budget review. But still on that, the NDC MPs have been speaking to the postponement and what Ghanaians should expect. Here is Navrongo MP Samson Chiragia and Samson Ahi, who is Bodi MP.
My brother, we are always available here from 8 o'clock. We start our sitting 10 o'clock. I'm telling you that they have no budget. Budget for what? They've stole all the money when the millions are in their bedrooms. How are they going to budget and use what to execute a budget? They don't have a budget. They are not ready. There's no money. So it's only coming to talk. Why and come on, you up and go away. It's terrible. There's no budget, my brother.
I mean, they are still within the constitutional imperative of.
It's just because of the constitutional requirement that they are doing it. That's why I'm saying that. You don't have. How do you budget when you don't have income? Salary payments are not done. Look, common fund is not in first quarter. So many payments. People are starving. So many releases are not. There's no release money too. The ministers are not operating. Government ministers are not working. There's no money. Parliament here, we are broke. Everywhere, everybody's broke.
They have nothing for Ghanaians. They are just coming to meet the requirements. I mean, the constitutional requirements. To come and just review the budget. So when you go, I'm sure when you go into the details, there is nothing there for Ghanaians. That is why they don't know when to even present the supplementary budget. The date for presentation has become a problem. So as we speak, I'm not even sure that they will come on Monday. I'm not certain. Having failed on a number of occasions, I don't even trust. I'm sure it will come at the very day that we rise. And it's a worry situation.
Samson Ahi ending that sound clip in there. We're moving away, doing education now. But you're listening to the news. You're on 3FM 92.7. Or streaming live on Facebook. Our handles 3FM 927. Same handles on Twitter 3FM 927. Now, the Adisado College has announced the outright dismissal of a student captured in a viral tape violently assaulting a junior in a dormitory. The school, in a statement, indicated the incident happened on June 30 of this year, adding the dismissal is subject to the approval of the Board of Governors and the Ghana Education Service. My colleague Judith Awachitando has a lot more details following the videos surfacing.
Oh! My son, you do that. Okay. Hey, you're coming.
It's an issue that has taken social media by storm. A viral video of a student of Adisado College abusing another. The incident, which happened on June 30, 2023, shows the student placing significant pressure on the neck of the victim and subsequently hitting his head against a metal bunk bed. This has raised questions about the extent of bullying that continues to occur in schools, as well as whether or not crowding and the lack of discipline in schools play a significant role. Hours after the incident went viral, the Ghana Education Service in a press release indicated that the management of the service was deeply concerned and condemned the act, describing it as barbaric. Currently, a number of sanctions have been meted out to the culprit, housemaster, victim, and students who witnessed the incident without intervening. The culprit faces outright dismissal, while others face different forms of suspensions. There have, however, been varying reactions from major stakeholders in the education sector. Deputy Ranking Member on Parliament's Education Committee, Clement Park, is of the view that the housemaster is undeserving of a suspension.
I disagree with that decision to relieve the housemaster of his responsibilities. The housemaster was not in the know, and if nobody had the courage to report what had occurred to the housemaster, then on what basis do you punish the housemaster for not acting on a matter that he had no knowledge of? The victim was so intimidated, so afraid to even report such an act of barbarity meted out against him.
Educationist Peter Pateanti is, however, of a different view. He says the sanctions are not enough regarding the circumstances.
He is the head of that particular house, and whatever happens within that house, he is held responsible. Whether he know or he doesn't know, it's not a point.
Okay.
Now, I think that that part of the letter seems to suggest that a lot of inspection have not been carried out in that particular house. Because one, how was a student able to get the phone into the dormitory? Aside the normal prefect structure, they have informants, and that is what even the security people also do. So within a dormitory, you need to get somebody in there who gives you informal information about activities that goes on in the dormitory.
The sanctions are pending a final decision from the Board of Governors and the Ghana Education Service. Judith Chitando there. Let's get on the telephone line because the National Council for Parents Teachers Association, they've condemned the assault while urging the Ghana Education Service to quickly deal with rising in discipline in schools. Gabson Kofi Raphael is National Secretary of the Association. Sir, many thanks for speaking to us this afternoon.
Most grateful and honored for the opportunity.
I'll just plead with you to hold the line for us again briefly, because what we understand is that the regional minister has been visiting the school. My colleague Thomas Khan is there. Let's just get quick details from him as to exactly what the mission of the regional minister has been. Thomas, talk to us. What has the regional minister been doing?
So, Mawuena, the regional minister, together with the regional police commander and then top hierarchy from the police command are in the school. As you may know, this video, since it went viral, has been the talk of the town, and everybody has been worried about it. So we are very sure that the regional minister is also worried about this development. So we are told that she's here together with the police to also know more about the situation and then what can be done. As I speak to you, we just when we got to campus, we saw that some students were being conveyed into a bus, and from the information that we are gathering, we are told that some students are being sent to the regional education directorate for some questioning. This is all to aid the investigation that is going into this case. Mawuena.
Right then, Thomas, many thanks. Mr. Gabson, you had my colleague reporter provide those details. Regional Minister, there some students being taken to the Regional Education Directorate, among others. Would you describe the reaction and the sanctions, the punishment as necessary and also meritorious in terms of all of the things that we've seen, whether it's appropriate, these sanctions that have been meted out?
In the first place, let me thank you for the opportunity. And let me say that as a national PTA, that is the National Council of Parents, we stand for all parents whose wards are in various education institutions at the pre-tertiary level. So these are concerns that we are worried as parents. And I can say that it is because of the complaints from parents that the GES
year, I think 2019, brought up a policy to ban all forms of corporal punishment. But we know that something that is a habit or something that is a custom or a practice in schools, educational institutions across this country, not today, it will take time before we'll get to the desired results that we are all looking for. So this thing that happened was not so much a surprise to us. It's just that it's just telling us that we have some more work to do in using our platforms to team up with the management of schools to make sure that both teachers, parents, and the students, we all know our limits and engagement of this kind of nature. And let me add that it is premature to make final conclusions on certain things, even though we all condemn the issues. For instance, the issue about holding the school, the person in charge of the dormitories, the housemaster, only him for vicarious liability for those things that have happened. If he was in the known and he didn't act, then that is where you can hold him for vicarious liability. But if something happened at his blind side and you've already sanctioned, then what are you investigating? That is a bit problematic. The teachers in the school are also parents. And we should know that they are the second parents of our own. So they are there for us. So if something happens and they err on the side of caution, then that one you would know how to handle it. But if they err on the side of the law, which is genuine and everybody knows, then you know how to deal with it from that perspective. We all know that in every engagement, every responsibility you give to people, they have constraints. Do they stay in the dormitories with the students? Is the first question. But if they stay away from the dormitories and we are relying on third parties to give them information, if those leaks were not given to him early, how can he react on that particular matter?
And those who are also questioning the sanctions meted out to the victim in all of this as well, because he's been sanctioned as well.
I don't see where the victim comes into play. Why are you sanctioning somebody who's already wounded and bruised? You are adding more insult to injury. You understand? What I know is that the person who has committed that act of thought, he is the person that we should deal with. And more to the point, we are all students. And you know, excuse my language, the laws of Ghana have a way it deals with minors and it has a way it deals with adults. So we have to look at these things in all forms of perspective. If you are sanctioning the person who committed the act for maybe demonizing him from the school or probably telling him to stay away for some time, that is a bit reasonable.
Right.
And I think that it is something that we cannot all run away from. But the victim being sanctioned upon all what he has gone through, well, I don't get it. I still need to get some understanding and clarity.
Right. Mr. Gabson, we'll leave it here. We'll come back to you in the course of the day for a bit more. That's Gabson Kofi Rafa, the National Secretary of the PTA Association here in the country. Let's end with politics. Well, all 10 presidential aspirants of the governing New Patriotic Party are to sign an undertaking not to contest as independent presidential candidate or as a candidate on the ticket of any other political party if they fail to get the nod from the delegates in the party's presidential primary. They are also to sign an undertaking with the party to commit themselves to support whoever is eventually elected as the party's presidential candidate after the election or selection process. This was contained in rules and regulations issued by the National Council of the NPP to guide aspirants during, before, and after its upcoming presidential and parliamentary primaries in Accra. Per this arrangement, the party reserves the right to restrain any candidate should he decide otherwise. And on the photo album and register, the council said the album and register used for the election of constituency executives between April 2022 and May 2, 2023 would be the same album that will be made available to the Electoral Commission for the conduct of the presidential primaries. Other details include a vote per delegate, and leading member of the NPP and political analyst Dr. Mwakuba, he's been reacting to all of this.
Unconstitutional. They cannot do that. They don't have the authority to just unilaterally say what they want and everybody is supposed to follow them. This is a constitutional provision. Everyone in this country of age has a right to contest an election if he qualifies. Nowhere does it say except MMNCs and we cannot contest an MP. This is corruption. It is corruption because the MPs want to entrench themselves. If somebody brings a petition, you have to look at the merits of the petition not to put us aside and say this is what we want to do. You didn't bring any petition. The super delegates, did they bring any petition? Those who brought a petition are there. Now suppose it was 10-0, they all agreed to do it in one venue. Would they have said what they said?
That's Dr. Marco Ba. He is a political analyst and a member of the governing New Patriotic Party. Let's just walk you through what the expectation is for the party's parliamentary primary. So regional and constituency party executives who wish to contest in the party's parliamentary primary with sitting members of parliament, they had to resign from their respective positions not later than September 20, 2023, and MMCEs, that's municipal and district chief executives in constituencies where the party are sitting MPs, are not eligible to contest in the parliamentary primary for their various constituencies. And exactly what we've been getting reactions to you from Dr. Amakuba. That's it for this afternoon's edition of the news here on 3FM 92.7. As always, a lot more news if you log on to 3news.com. The business team, they are here ready and waiting to bring us the very latest from the world of business. And Ekia Mensa Brampa, she is here with the latest. We'll leave the microphone for her now.
A very good afternoon to you. Thank you for joining us on Business Daily. And coming up this afternoon, all banks submit recapitalization plans ahead of September deadline. That's according to the Bank of Ghana. Also, Bank of Ghana restores forex licenses of Fidelity Bank and First National Bank. Plus, Nigeria's currency futures market at standstill as Naira swings. My name is Nanaye Mensa-Brampa. I have all the details in the next 10 minutes. Please stay. Thank you for your time. Let's get to the detail. As banks whose capital had been affected by the domestic debt exchange program have complied with the directive to submit their recapitalization plans ahead of the deadline, the central bank at the last monetary policy committee meeting directed all commercial banks to submit their recapitalization plans by September 2023. Governor of the central bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, says the recapitalization plans will be reviewed by the central bank and finalized for final approval.
All the banks with gaps have submitted their recapitalization plans. This is all of them. So far, we haven't had any bank apply for emergency liquidity support.
And that was Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison there. Meanwhile, the Bank of Ghana has restored the forex licenses of Fidelity Bank and First National Bank. The central bank temporarily suspended the two financial institutions for breaching some sections of the Ghana Interbank Forex Markets Conduct Rules. Fidelity Bank and First National Bank were fined a combined 1,000 penalty points each and barred from forex trading for 30 days. Dr. Ernest Addison is central bank governor.
Fidelity and which one was the other one? The FNB. Yes, so they already had their license restored 2 weeks ago. We actually reduced the punishment by half, so they didn't do a full month of absence from the market. They only were suspended for 2 weeks, so they've been back in the market for some time now.
Central Bank Governor Dr. Ernest Addison there. In a move to safeguard citizens' data privacy and ensure compliance with the law, the Data Protection Commission has announced plans to intensify the effort of the Data Protection Act 2012, Act 843. The Commission aims to hold accountable organizations and institutions that have neglected their legal responsibilities under the Act. The following report has more.
The forthcoming enforcement exercise, scheduled to begin on August 14, will focus on key areas outlined in the Data Protection Act 2012. These areas include mandatory registration for data controllers with the Data Protection Commission, the renewal of registration every 2 years, and the prohibition of the sale of personal data.
We want to alert our data controllers, those who are registered and those who haven't registered, that we are coming out to do this enforcement, which consists of verifying licenses, checking on those who haven't registered to establish why they haven't, and also do a spot check to see whether they are following the principles and the purposes that they are specified with us is what they are actually doing with the data they hold.
The Data Protection Commission has also urged exempted public institutions to take note that all sections of the Act apply to them as well.
You still need to notify us of your existence and to confirm your purposes for collecting data and processing it. That way we know that you exist, you are processing this kind of data, and then we agree with you the circumstances in which you can apply your exemption. And if you have never registered with us and you have never told us about your purposes, you can't in your own right sit in your office and start applying exemptions. It doesn't work like that.
Under the Act, failure to register with the Commission constitutes an offence which may lead to summary conviction, fines or imprisonment.
And that was a report put together by Bismarck Kausa. Director of Business Operations at Dalex Finance has expressed worry over the delay by Cocoa Board in securing the pre-export cocoa syndicated loan. Joe Jackson observed the losses in the cocoa sector, coupled with restructuring of the cocoa bills, may send wrong signals to investors.
We have mismanaged the cocoa sector, even by their own published accounts for 2018, 19, and 2020, which is the last time they published account, the cocoa sector is making losses. Huge losses, losses that rise each year. We've seen how inefficient the cocoa sector is. They are, in 1 year alone, 2019-2020, they employed over 2,300 new people, adding a huge amount to the wage bill, and is doubling in all sorts of things that are not directly related to cocoa. Rural roads, fertilizer, and so many things that don't help the cocoa itself. Last year by this time, we had announced the financing that we were going to use for the cocoa season 2022-23. This year, September, nada has been announced yet. In fact, what is being announced is a haircut for those with cocoa bills. A haircut, cocoa bills that were supposed to be for 6 months have now been stretched for another 5 years into 2028. Cocoa bills that were supposed to be at a coupon rate of 31% have now dropped to as low as 13%.
You heard the voice of Joe Jackson, Director of Business Operations at Dalex Finance. And just before we go on the international front, more than a month after Nigeria's central bank dropped the Naira's peg against the dollar, the country's markets for exchange-traded futures has ground to a standstill. The wide fluctuations in the local currency are deterring traders. The Naira has traded between 742 and 804 per dollar since June 15, and the day after, that is a day after the Central Bank of Nigeria said it would allow the currency to trade freely in the so-called investors and exporters window. This comes with the daily fixing of the FMDQ exchange, recognized as the official exchange rate to help improve liquidity. The Central Bank of Nigeria also scrapped trading limits on oversold foreign exchange positions and allowed hedging of short positions to over-the-counter futures. With traders unsure where the Naira will finally settle, they are not willing to take the risk of selling or buying Naira futures. And that will do for the business segment. That is Business Daily on 3FM 92.7. When you log on to 3news.com, we have more business news updates. Later on at 5:40 on Hot Edition, you join us for more updates in the world of business. My name is Nana Ikuya Mensah Brampa. Enjoy your lunch and have a good afternoon.